I've rewatched How to Train Your Dragon more times than I expected to. Not because it's nostalgic, not even because I love dragons, although I do. There's something about it that feels quietly powerful, like the story understands something deeper than it's letting on. It's one of those stories that lingers, not because of the big fight scenes, but because of the small moments. And the more I come back to it, the more I think, it's not really a story about dragons at all. It's actually about something a lot simpler and a lot more universal. So this isn't going to be a review or a breakdown of the film, but since the new How to Train Your Dragon movie is coming out, I thought it would be a good time to reflect on what made the original so powerful. And at the end of the video, I'll make a small glass token to hold the idea that stayed with me. I hope you like it. So if you haven't seen the film or it's been a while, How to Train Your Dragon follows Hiccup, a young Viking from a dragon fighting village. Hiccup is a classically pathetic anti-hero. He doesn't fit in with everyone, he's too small and hesitant and clumsy to get any sort of respect, especially from his dad who, on top of being chief of the village, is also called Stoic the Vast. So when Hiccup shoots down the dragon, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. He can finally live up to everyone's expectations, get recognition and praise, and essentially earn his place in the village. But this is where the movie gets brilliant. Hiccup finds the dragon, and there's this long pause. They lock eyes, and Hiccup chooses not to hurt him. And what's so powerful about this is that it goes against our usual story structure. If you've heard of the hero's journey, you'll know that this framework gets repeated over and over in Western stories, follows the same beats. The hero is comfortable, then they're called to action, they say no, then yes, they meet allies, and so on. The call to action here, the thing that begins the story, is a non-action. I feel like this really merits emphasizing because culturally, we do not reward inaction or really consider it as a satisfying choice. But when Hiccup looked into the dragon's eyes and saw it as an equal, suddenly what seemed like the obvious right move, which is to hurt the creature that terrorizes his village, that didn't feel so right anymore, so he stepped away. Now, it isn't just that non-action that makes this moment and this movie so impactful. It's the fact that what makes Hiccup so inadequate in his super macho, fighty culture is exactly what makes him so able to see something beyond, to perceive something that directly challenges everything he was taught to believe. In a culture of violence, he took a moment to pause, and that pause, that simple hesitation, was a rejection of the entire belief system he'd been given. Had he forced himself to do as he was always told, he never would have changed the rules of the world around him. He would have received praise, he would have probably received a lot more pressure to keep acting like the brave, violent boy everyone wants him to be. But no, instead of changing himself, this one pause is what ultimately led to his entire world changing for the better. How to Train Your Dragon is not a story of good versus evil, but rather, it's a story of fear versus understanding. And that feels so relevant. I'm gonna go out on a limb and call it the most universal tension there can be. Even when you apply morals, whatever is underneath morals is fear versus understanding. Hiccup then finds out why the dragons are attacking his village, and that changes everything. And this really highlights how much solace can be found in knowing the why behind something. And I think that's why this movie is still so beloved. Not because of the gorgeous animation, or the gorgeous dragons, or the gorgeous puns, but rather it's the fact that we could all be like Hiccup. He's not chosen, he's not the best, but he was curious, and that's enough to change everything. So in honor of curiosity and pausing and listening, I've decided to make a little token. Now, if this is your first time we meet each other, hello, I work with stained glass, and it's just not sustainable for me to make a full stained glass piece for every video, but I like the idea of painting a little symbol on a small piece of glass, something that could almost function as a magic item. Or like when you're in a video game and you're rewarded for solving a puzzle or something. This could be my version of that reward for paying attention. So for How to Train Your Dragon, there's a few ways to go about it. One, I could paint a dragon, or maybe the connection between a dragon and a human. Two, I could do something around the concept of paying attention and being curious. Or three, a symbol around empathy and understanding. While I get to work, I do want to touch upon the new live-action remake that's coming out. You know, I don't know what to expect. I feel like a live-action film didn't need to happen. And I'm very worried by the fact that they seem to be going for a shot-for-shot remake. But I'm cautiously hopeful that they won't ruin the story at the very least. It's probably not gonna hit with the same force since we already know the story and the weight of it, but At the time of recording, I haven't seen it, and so I can't say whether it's good or bad. Regardless, you should probably rewatch the animated version. It's so good. It's worth seeing again, for sure. In the end, for my token, I couldn't resist painting a dragon, so I replicated the symbol from the movie, but I also added something at the end of the dragon's tail, a thistle. It represents protection with its sort of thorny bits at the base of the flower. Now, the relationship between the Vikings and the dragons eventually became a lot softer than it was at first, but they both needed to get past each other's prickly dispositions to get to the mushy bits. So once again, this token is an ode to taking the time to really seeing something for what it is in its entirety. And I will be sure to treasure it in my my collection. I hope you liked this video. If so, give it a like and subscribe to find out what the next token will be. Bye bye!